You're listening to the M.A.V. Show, episode number 10, Overlooked Gems. Alright, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the M.A.V. Show.
It's the big 1-0, baby. Episode 10.
Alright, everybody, I'm your host, King Vontae, KV for short.
I'm your co-host, little brother.
What up, little brother? Man, how have you been this week, man?
It's been interesting. I'm going to get into it for a second, but go ahead. How was your week?
Man, my week has been pretty good. Wifey/girlfriend had a great birthday since I spent almost like a whole grand just so she could have her little birthday cake, birthday soup, like birthday clothes, birthday drinks, presents. Like, oh my god, like I definitely went all out for her, and I'm just like,
You regret it.
I regret it.
He regrets it, but no, you don't.
I mean, like, I feel like I could have spent the money on something else. Anything else. I mean, like, yeah, she's happy and all, but I'm like, oh my gosh.
I mean, with a grand, you could buy a cheap car.
Man, with a grand, you could buy absolutely no type of car unless you're talking about like a bike.
With a grand, you could buy a TV, an 80-inch.
Oh man, I could have bought a TV. That would look perfect in my front room too. God dang. Once again, waste of money. But she had a great birthday. I'm happy that she had a great birthday. She deserves it. So even though I'm complaining, I'm happy. Go ahead, bro. Like, what's up with your weekend?
Okay. So, conversations and stuff. So basically the big thing is we make our list, right? We talk about our subjects and all this.
So, okay, yeah.
And all of this is really our own opinion. Like, I don't want anybody to get that wrong. I'm not saying that this is my, when I make up these lists or when I say something about an anime, I'm not saying that my opinion is right and it'll always be right. I'm never saying that.
Definitely not.
So I ended up having a conversation with someone over the weekend or the week, and that this certain person misinterpreted pretty much everything from what I said from the get-go. We talked about, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago, our top swordsman?
Yeah.
And this person, well, at first, the conversation was going smoothly. We talked about Samurai Jack being at the bottom of the list, and then I put Afro above him and such. And, we went back and forth with that, and this was with a different person. But I got to Gintama being number 3 and Zoro being number 2. Dude took it to a whole personal level. When I mean personal, he didn't even like feel offended. He was trying to offend not only me but somebody else who we were talking to.
So he felt offended by your opinion on how you might have liked or how you put Zoro above Gintama.
Basically, and it's like, bro, calm down. And when I say he started trying to offend us, he started calling us, your opinion is ignorant. You need to stop saying this before doing the research, or you don't even know what you're talking about. And I said, bro, so back it up. First of all, you don't need to be so offensive. You don't need to be any type of angry or anything, because this is all just opinion. This is all me just saying, hey, this is what I think this should be. Yeah,
this is definitely, me and you giving our opinion about manga, anime, and video games. Things that we think people should watch, try out. And that episode, Top Swordsman, was definitely our opinion of our top 10 swordsmen without powers.
And that's number 2. I had to tell him, yo, this is my opinion on this list that I said all these people on the list don't really use powers when they use their swords. And he stepped back and he's like, oh, well, when you put it like that, I guess you do have a point. But still, he was still on that 100 scale. He was still just angry and just calling us ignorant and all such.
So with those type of people, you definitely got to understand, either you could try to have a civilized conversation and, hopefully they can see things from your point of view, or, not necessarily try to upset them, or they just kind of don't accept other people's opinions, period. And you definitely got to watch out for those type of people.
You want to chime in? Okay. Huh?
Oh man, I love having our audience. Definitely got an audience in the building. Shout out to Jerry and my homeboy Real K.
What up, dogs?
What up?
Jesus Christ, that voice is loud, dude.
I'm a loud person, so.
But yeah, like, so once again, little bro, you definitely kind of gotta watch out for some people. Some people don't understand, and some people can't accept other people's opinions.
And that's the thing. I never got offended through the whole thing. I was just like, okay. Oh, now we're calling each other names now. Was that? No. This is somebody totally different. But, but
Keep
it was
podcast
just
PG-13.
It was just the fact that I just noticed how he went from 0 to 100 like real quick. And it was, now that I have to look at it in a new light, some people are not gonna like our opinions, and that's totally fine. I'd rather you not like my opinion and then debate with me. Tell me what I'm wrong at. Tell me what you think I'm wrong at, and that way we can go back and forth with it. We can have a discussion.
Once again, audience members kind of looking at us, giving us weird looks and everything. But yeah, like I said, and that's what another thing our podcast is based off of, having a debate and discussion about these certain topics. You know, that's why me and you definitely go back and forth on a lot of these different things. And so,
well, that's just how. And I didn't want to make it that seem like that was my whole week. But other than that, my week went well. You know, actually ended up being off of work all week, so. You know, just got to chill out. Go to the gym a lot again. The gyms are back open.
I wish my gym was back open. Like, I really, really wish my gym was back open. I go to Planet Fitness. You go to
Crunch Fitness.
And even though I can work out at home, I haven't been very disciplined to keep working out at home.
It's all about the consistency.
It is. And every time I get home, I just look at my couch. I look at my bed, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I just feel like my bed just be texting me all day. I can't wait till you get home.
What you got to think about it is, what are you going to feel like after you just go straight to bed?
I feel great. I feel re-energized. I feel like I accomplished something.
No.
I feel like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, yo, now I just look at my bed and I'm like, I missed you. I just
That's
like,
not the mindset.
I just feel like my bed just calling me, just come and lay. Just come and lay on me.
Because I have to.
I will make you warm. I will, all the stress that you accumulated today, I will help you relieve it all. Like, just come and lay down.
That's all terrible, because I had to look at it. If I don't go work out, I'm going to feel like crap the next day, because my body's I'm trying to get my body to get used to me, you know, working out, getting all that energy out and all such. But if I miss that day, then my body feels like just sluggish, slump, and it feels fat.
I definitely understand that too. Like, your body starts feeling lethargic. And
it is. Yeah, lethargic's a good word.
Yeah, and so a body that is in motion stays in motion, and so it's definitely hard to kind of start it back up. And I think that's what I'm going through. You know, especially being that. Other news, another funny topic in debate that I've come across this week. The Avatar: The Last Airbender is on Netflix.
On Netflix now.
And what I came across an interesting article was that a lot of people liked or loved the Avatar, but it was really garnishing a lot of, let me say,
backlash?
Not backlash, but debate on its sequel.
Legend of Korra?
The Legend of Korra. So a lot of people were kind of, it was really interesting to me because I love Avatar: Last Airbender. I was really a huge fan. And The Legend of Korra, I was like, well, I felt like I would have preferred like a part 2 of Aang and them live, because like we only seen everybody when they were like under the age of 18. Like, Aang coming out of the ice was only 12 years old. And throughout the whole entire time, like the whole series probably lasted like 1 or 2 years actually in series. And so we never really got to see him be the master that he could be. Like, you know, we was only watching kids. And so I would have loved to see a part 2 where everybody was adults. But with the Legend of Korra came, it was like 70 years after all those events. And so, even though they do small flashbacks of how they were, I was like, that's what I was really hoping for. And so, what all the debate about in the article was that a lot of people were going back and forth saying, yo, we would have liked a part 2 of the Avatar versus the Legend of Korra. And what the people who had created the story was like, yo, Aang's story has been told and they wanted to kind of move forward. I'm all like, I'm cool with the whole moving forward, but I felt how some other people felt, where I'm all like, once again, like, I really wanted to see part 2 of Aang's life versus a whole new story 70 years later. Like, I did it, like, I enjoyed the old Eastern cultures that was told back then. I didn't really like seeing all the cars and metal buildings and balloon, like airships and all this other type of stuff. Like, I didn't really care for it. And not only that, the character development for like Korra and her sidekicks and everything was really subpar, like very subpar. A lot of people say Aang and them really didn't have no character development. I'm like, yeah, like, well, once again, like, this guy's a 12-year-old kid who had to kind of come back and see, like, everything he knew has changed. Like, he was in isolation for like 100 years. So everybody he knew was dead, and then he had to learn from other kids, like, how to do water, how to bend earth, how to bend fire. I'm like, yo, he's not even learning from masters like everybody else kind of learned. He's learning from other little kids.
That's pretty true. And we talked about this a little bit prior to this, but I kind of like Legend of Korra, but for other reasons. Like, it's not the character development, because, like you said, there is none.
She was a whiny little girl throughout the whole entire thing.
If there's any character development, it's very little.
Very little. Like, so I understand after the first season where she kind of built up, getting a little confidence, and lost, like took her first L, and like, yeah, it's okay to whine and mope about it. But even during the second season, like, it seemed like that little thing or recurring theme repeated itself. I'm like, yo, like, you gotta know, just because you take an L, you lose a fight, or somebody rebels against what you might believe in or whatever, like, don't cry about it. Like, don't start try to reevaluating everything in your life.
It was, and Legend of Korra was really cool to me just because it was just a whole new look. Like, I don't, I guess I like change when it comes to anime, and it's considered kind of a cartoon / anime. I'm not so sure. That's a debate for later. But I really liked Legend of Korra because I liked Republic City, the whole cars, blimps, and all that. I liked that metal bending became more prevalent in that time era. I liked that they ended up inventing a new style of bending, which was lava bending. Earthbenders can do that. Actually, Earthbenders can pretty much do the most. They could do sand bending, lava bending, mud bending, swamp bending, which Toph does do.
Mud bending or swamp bending?
Swamp bending.
So swamp is still like, it's just dirty water. So
water, my friend. Earth water.
Earth water?
Pretty much mud.
Yeah, so it's just wet dirt. I mean, I would think Katara back in the day would be able to swamp bend more than Toph being able to mud bend.
Well, most definitely. Like, they could both bend it because it's, the elements are combined together. So they both could have done it. But my point of it is just, like, I liked how they were just getting all these new factors into play. Like, they go from, it was just airbending, air, fire, wind, and air, fire, earth, and water. Sorry, yeah, I got confused right there.
Yeah.
But and they added, and there was sand bending in the first Avatar, The Last Airbender. There was sand bending.
Yeah.
Toph just had invented metal bending, and what it was, a combustion man could like fire bend with his mind. There was lightning bending for the firebenders, and there was blood bending for the waterbenders. But when the new season came out, it was just like, as time progressed, bending progresses. And I love to see that new transition into the new era.
I definitely can see it from that point. Like I said, I did definitely appreciate, even though I kind of also felt like the airbenders didn't really get like an upgrade or even like a little side thing too.
They never really do.
Yeah, like they were left out of being able to do more with air.
The most thing that they got was when Zahir was her like what third main villain that she had to face, and he had this whole thing like he studied airbenders like no other for some reason. He probably knew stuff more than Aang, which is saying a lot. Mm-hmm. But he found out like if you left all your earthly ties back, like on if you just like dropped all of it, then you could be able to fly. Like you can use airbending to its maximum point, which I guess is flying. But that's another thing when I want to kind of touch on is that Legend of Korra was good to me just because like her villains kind of made her. And I want to, that's kind of harsh saying that because
the villains really made the show. I mean, it wasn't for the villains in the whole entire scene. It was crazy how every single season needed a new villain. Mm-hmm. Where versus Aang, it was just always the Fire Nation, period.
Or other, random people coming after him.
Yeah, little mini bosses here and there, but nothing extreme, I would say.
So the villains for Korra, it goes first, and I'm gonna say it in order from season 1 to season 4. It goes Amon, Ulak or Unalak, which is her uncle. That's messed up if you got to go against your own uncle. Zahir, and then Kovira. Out of all this list, Kovira is probably like her biggest challenge. Maybe Zahir, maybe even Amon, which was our first one, and maybe even like they're all contestants of being her like worst battle, but I think Zahir or what's her name, Kovira pretty much pushed her to her very limit just because she didn't beat her with like having what her uncle did was have the ultimate like spirit power against her. She didn't have Amon's like ability to take her airbending away, and she didn't have Zahir's basically just overpowering knowledge against her. Kovira was she just outbended her. Like they both can metal bend, they both were earthbenders, and what's her name? Korra had the other elements to work with her. But Kovira just outmaneuvered her just by being her.
So she was just better all the way around. Well, I won't say all the way around, but she was so much better in her craft to where
I'm not gonna lie. You could say she was better all the way around. It was the fact that she turned earthbending into boxing with metal bending. And if you ever see definitely it, just watch the way Kovira moves, and it's just like, oh snap, you know what you're doing. Like I'd be surprised if most people could take her. Like she could take the best of them. Even Toph came at her, but Toph is in her old age at the time, so I guess that's not a fair match. But I think Toph at her best would have trouble with her.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I definitely feel that, man. But all right, little brother. So let's definitely try to get into the topic of the day.
And what would that be?
So, have you ever really tried to? Well, let me try to throw it like this. Have you ever been to different animes, video games that other people weren't, or even have even heard of over like the last few years, or just any time?
Of course, something just resonated with you more than it did others, and you felt like it was overlooked, or it could actually just naturally be overlooked, like people just didn't gravitate towards it.
Yeah, and so I feel like there's a lot of overlooked gems that a lot of people just probably never have seen or even have heard of. Mm-hmm. Or, never even probably even given a chance.
That is most true.
So I feel like a lot of animes and video games are overlooked or underrated. Mm-hmm. And so I think we should have a discussion about that.
That's always good.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to kick it off. And I feel like my first one up is definitely not overlooked, but definitely underrated.
Okay.
I feel like it never got the type of love and respect that it should have gotten because it was definitely overshadowed by the big three at the time.
And if you remember hearing him talk about this from previous episodes, you know what he's talking about.
I'm talking about Fairy Tail. And I definitely believe it is underrated to the max. And yes, it does have its flaws. I was
going to say to a degree.
But I believe overall, it should have garnered a lot more attention than it did everything. Yes, it had problems with how the characters looked. Yes, it had problems with certain story ties, and God, it had awful fillers. But what anime doesn't? Well, long running ones. But I think overall, how I don't even want to say character development, but I think like the overall story is what really kind of made it. Of just not it being long, but like how everything kind of made sense towards the end. I feel like a lot of people just really didn't give it enough chance, if I should say.
I guess that's fair. If I'm being honest, what probably threw it off were its first season or just, the first like few episodes, because it is slow and it is annoying.
It is. And even over time, like I would say the main character, not a lot of people would say Lucy, the main character, is definitely like
I don't think she's the main character.
She is the main character because without her, a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened. Because she's the one
without her, probably they've been in a better place.
Okay, Lucy's definitely like the Sakura of like many other different anime. She was really mostly useless during most of the anime, except for like the Dragon Festival where like her future self came back in the past was like helping them. But other than that, like she's definitely
congratulations. The future you is better. How about you hurry up and speed up time and get to that point?
And she was still useless, because she died.
She died. She came back to the past to die. Good job, Lucy.
But without her, the whole show was started because it is meeting up with Natsu, and Natsu's trying to find his father, Igneel, the dragon. That kind of kickstarted the whole thing.
Who's a freaking boss, by the way.
Oh yeah, Igneel was dope. I love the dragons in this show. Even the last dragon, who was like the main boss, was definitely a monster.
Agnologia. But I feel like Fairy Tail, like I said, and I'm gonna reiterate it, just the beginning, the beginning episodes were just very slow paced, and it held your hand through the whole way. It was setting up so much stuff that it got boring. And
it did have a very slow start, and it was ugly.
Even something like a side note, like it was not even a side note, but when you started the episode, it was kind of like, I'm guessing they really directed it towards young kids or something like that, because there was this message that would pop up about Natsu saying, don't forget to turn on the lights when you watch this and try not to watch it in the dark. It was trying to keep people safe, but it was, and that lasted for the whole season. It was very annoying.
Wow. I remember that.
Yeah. But as it gets further on, it becomes better. It gets better with time. Because after he fights Jalal in that ice tower with, it was basically Urza's arc.
Mm-hmm.
That gets better because you see Natsu starting to progress with his power. He ends up eating a lacrimite, which just increased him by I don't know, by times 3.
Yeah, and I do. And somebody did point to me out that one of his bad points of the anime was that how Natsu, every time he kept on going against a boss, he get his butt whooped until he found something to eat that he wasn't supposed to eat. He would eat it and then gain power to beat the villain.
Which they specifically said, especially with that lacrima, don't ingest the lacrima because it might be poisonous towards you and you might die. Don't eat the other elements because it won't work with you. But yet, time and time again, Natsu just eats it and makes it his own. Which it kind of works and kind of sucks at the same time.
I felt like that was kind of bad
writing.
Yeah, bad writing. I feel like not a lot of people kind of really thought it through.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of bad storytelling.
But like I said, it gets better with time because even when you get into the tournament arc, the tournament arc is probably my favorite arc out of the whole dang Fairy Tail.
The tournament arc was dope when everybody kind of came back and proved Fairy Tail was still who they were.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I could definitely mess with it.
So, I guess I kind of agree with you that Fairy Tail is overlooked because the whole beginning of it just set it backwards and people didn't really gravitate towards it unless you're really that person who's don't worry, I'll give it till episode 56.
Well, it's maybe the second season, yeah.
But it definitely gets better with time. I'll just say that to wrap that up. At least for me, that's all how that is. If I'm going to take over from this point, and I was going to say what was underrated, And me and you watched this. Me and you were so into this. It is Roka Braves of the Six Flowers. You remember that?
Roka Braves of Six Flowers.
That was that redhead guy who always, like, in the beginning, he's fighting the two other Aztec warriors who, like, instead of, like, you know, like, being, like, the most overpowered character or whatever, he was smart and he laid traps down, and he was strategic with his fighting.
Yeah, so he wasn't necessarily strong, but he was smart.
Mm-hmm. And then he became a part of this group, I guess, or he was selected out of the very few to be, like, the saviors of the world. But and there were supposed to be 6 of them. They didn't know each other, so they kind of had to, I guess, converge and find each other. But there was a 7th person, and you knew that you were one of these people if you had a tattoo. But there was 7 people with tattoos, and it was kind of like, who is the imposter? And they had to basically end up fighting amongst each other just to see who was the imposter.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't really remember too much about it, but I do remember it was low-key pretty good. It had pretty good fight scenes and had pretty good characters. This was definitely some years ago that I really remember about this. Six Braves.
Yeah, it was old though.
It really was. So did that anime ever have like a second season or anything?
It did not. That's what I'm saying. It was so engaging. It was so cool. It was so, like, I guess I said engaging. It was just the fact that you were right there with them. You were trying to figure out who is this imposter? Who is this person who's trying to, like, sabotage the people who are supposed to save the world? And then you get farther into it, they start suspecting that the main character is the imposter. Adelet was his name.
Adelet?
I might be wrong about that actually, but they start suspecting that the main character is the imposter, and it goes further and further, and they're almost about to kill him. The other, 6 of them, they're all for it. He has a best friend who's trying to, like, vouch for him though, and she's one of the 6 as well.
Like, one of the strongest, wasn't she?
No, she was just, like, one of the people who was also supposed to be a brave, who was supposed to once again save the world. You get further into it, they start suspecting even multiple people. There's supposed to be 6 of them, but they start suspecting that it's more than one. You get further and further into it, and it's weird. If you really looked into it, you might could have predicted who it was, but it turns out it was his best friend the whole time, who was supposed to be, like, and she's, like, the nicest girl ever. She doesn't seem like she was the princess. She was, you don't expect that not only your best friend, but she's the princess. She's supposed to protect everybody. That's her people that she needs to look after. And then, lo and behold, she's the one who's gonna kill everybody. That blew my mind, at least.
I think that definitely caught me for a loop too. Like, just having a best friend and having them turn on you, especially when you kind of maybe needed them the most, or like when you guys are trying to figure out this whole entire situation. So I think that was definitely a little bit.
So the characters are, the main character is Adelet. Okay, I'm not gonna read these last names because these last names are weird. But the main character is Adelet. Another character would be Fremi, Hands, and I'm gonna just go look for his best friend, which I believe is. That's a big name.
Go ahead.
Nashatin. Oh God.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Go ahead. You read that.
The last person, Nash.
Yeah.
Nashatanya Loy. Something like that.
And it was just like, it was so cool and engaging. Like I said, the combat was there. The art style was there. Even the world setting was there. And it didn't go too far to too many places. They actually spent a good portion of the last few episodes stuck in this, like, pyramid or room. And mind you, this is all, like, set up. When I say world building, it was all with that Aztec type of lore to it. The Mayan pyramids, the whole the Mayan art style, even the Mayan weapons. It was just like, you gotta look at a new culture.
And so what instantly kind of drew me into that one was the Mayan culture in an anime. Like, you've never really seen that. So I definitely love it when they use different, cultures. Like they like actually try to go out and look for different things, just like almost what they did with Vinland Saga.
Oh yeah,
like they took the Viking series and really made a good story out of it.
Yes, sir. So that's kind of like my overlooked gem.
And so what I would say for a video game overlook would be this old school game way back in like
I got a video game.
Mid 2000s, I might say, was a game Square Enix had created and was definitely under the radar. Like it just like there wasn't like a lot of ads for it, and it had like a small core base of fans, but that's all it had. It was a game called Nier.
Nier was the is that really overlooked though? And you see a lot of people cosplaying it.
Yeah, but that's because it recently came out with a sequel like almost 15 years later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so gotta
Oh, sorry. I'm doing my guild battles.
Yo, I'm just looking over at his screen and my god, the animation. That's an anime.
No, it's the game.
We're getting off topic.
Getting off topic. Yeah, so Nier was definitely about a guy. Well, the game kind of starts off with weird. It's a guy with a book trying to fight off demons and trying to protect his daughter. And so the game kind of fast forward a couple years later, and you're just this main character who's still kind of looking for his daughter. She's trying to protect his daughter in kind of this world.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Why were they blindfolded?
Which one?
Both of the main characters, like they both have like black blindfolds over them, or black mask.
No. You're thinking of Nier Automata, the second one. No.
Oh.
Yeah. And so
okay, so that's what. Oh, so that's the sequel you're talking about. That's what people started cosplaying and started loving about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like those are like robot girls and everything. It was really, really weird. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
It didn't follow the first one.
Like it set it up as like maybe like a couple years. Like I really didn't play it. Like to me, like I played a demo of it and it was kind of fun, but to me it didn't really have no correlation to the first one.
Okay.
And so yeah,
I was gonna say that's the only thing I see is the second one. I thought the second one was the first one.
No, I was surprised. Like you see me play the first one back when we were kids.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I'm so surprised. Like I did my utmost to even beat that game and get the platinum.
So what was describe the gameplay for me.
So the gameplay wasn't anything epic, and I think this is where it got a lot of people. And the gameplay was also a little bit hard to master as well. So it was almost part button smashing, like you would dodge and just kind of smash square, just to kind of like attack enemies. But you also use spells from this book once you got it to attack. So it's something like you were using magic, but you got to usually charge up attacks just to hit the enemy.
Okay.
And even when you went like and fought oversized bosses, you had to do the same thing. You would just smash X, dodge, charge up an attack. Usually just using like a magic spell from the book, and to attack.
Okay. Like what was your main weapon type?
Main weapon type, you actually got to use like a lot of different weapons. So you got to use like a spear, great sword, single sword. Like you had like a little variety of these like three kind of weapon classes. But
I might have been watching too much Ruby, but I remember her using a scythe.
No, there was no scythe in this game.
Okay, so yeah, I'm watching too much Ruby.
Yeah. Thinking about all these other games, and it's not it. And like you had like a little different little inventory of what you can do, but the game was really kind of linear in a sense. It was like you had the choice of doing like a little open world, but not so much. Even though this game wasn't all that great, and once again it had like a small core fan base, I definitely feel like it was overlooked just because it might have not got all like the ads type of thing.
Okay.
Like it wasn't just
like
spoken about a lot.
Didn't get the I don't want to say propaganda, but it didn't get the revenue. No, I don't know.
Yeah, like it didn't get the ad space like most games get. Okay. Like it wasn't. I wouldn't say like a AAA blockbuster type of game. It was definitely like a, like DVDs that like some movies get played in the movie theater, and then some that go straight to DVD.
Yeah,
it's like one of those that go straight to DVD.
Okay.
So just because it wasn't shown a lot, I think that's why it was definitely overlooked versus like because everybody who has played the game say it was pretty decent. Like a lot of people did was like I liked it, but a lot of people just haven't heard of it, and so would have which was I'm like, wow, like you guys are definitely missing a good game that Square Enix did put a little time into.
And Square Enix it's not like if you don't know them, they're the people who make Final Fantasy. They're the ones who make Kingdom Hearts. They're not just, like some underground company or, well, maybe that one didn't get any popularity because the company is not as big. Square Enix is probably one of the bigger Japanese companies.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But with Square Enix, like they make phenomenal games and they rarely mess up anything that they touch.
That's true.
And we're not gonna count their slight mess up of Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, really? You gonna throw that in?
They really dropped the ball at the launch of that, but they fixed it. Like they came back and fixed it, so I will definitely give them the props on that.
All right. So, and once again, the only thing I've seen of Nero, is it called?
Nier.
The only thing I've seen in Nier is cosplay. Like by accident, it just comes like I'm up there just scrolling through, like it could be Instagram or Facebook, and then next thing you know, I see somebody cosplaying it.
Yeah, so like I said, that's mostly due to the second part of the game versus the first part. Not too many people know about it.
Okay. So if we're gonna keep the video game trend going, for me, one game that it got its little bit of clout here and there, but not as much as I think as it should have gone. Maybe this is purely, and of course, this is purely based off of my personal opinion. I played through pretty much the whole game, and I say pretty much because I technically didn't get to finish it, but I did see the ending and I did see how it all wrapped up. Sunset Overdrive. It came out on I believe it was just for the Xbox One, which hurt me because I really, really wanted to play it because I played it on the Xbox at a friend's house, and then I wanted to play it myself on my PS4, but I don't know, Xbox One. I'm sorry, people. Not all of us have Xbox Ones and PS4s in the same house. I'm talking to like 2-3 specific people that I work with.
Hey, so what was Sunset Overdrive about?
Sunset Overdrive kind of like Jesus, I forgot the name of the city, but it takes place in like a normal, pretty much city. It turns in it's you, and you get to make your own character. You get to make your own design, but the voice actor for it is the guy who plays Sasuke. I forgot his name, Yuri something. His last name's hard to pronounce. But if you know the English voice actor for Sasuke, then that's the voice actor who plays your main character. And at least the guy version. I didn't hear the female version.
Okay.
But you're up there working a job for this. You're kind of like just playing janitor at first for this company called Fizzco, and they're basically like this energy drink. The energy drink, though, it's getting popular. It's becoming like their debut and like, their big, what is it called?
Like their number one product or something?
Yeah, their premiere. They're like, it's happening. Mm-hmm. But one day, it starts to like change people. It starts to like turn them into these basically zombies in a way, but like just they look really grody, really nasty, really like blistered up pink monsters, pretty much. Like grody. But that starts to happen, and it basically becomes it becomes an apocalyptic game because now you're running from all these Fizzco, all monster zombie things, and you're running around the town. So you end up getting chased back to your own apartment, and I'm actually zoomed through. Basically, you kind of take on the hero role. You're saying, like, basically you're trying to survive, and you keep running into people after people, and you're trying to, like, figure out, well, how can we stop this? How can we get Fizzco back for doing this to all these people? And you end up meeting people along the way who you have to face, who you have to become friends with, and eventually you get higher up through, mind you, the whole apocalypse, so everybody contact with everybody is kind of like splintered, and you eventually reach the higher ups, and it's basically the mascot for Fizzco.
Really?
Mind you, and I kind of forgot to say, this all takes place like a break the fourth wall type of game, like Deadpool.
Okay, so things like Deadpool will be doing. So like he's speaking to you while also kind of in the game type of thing. Yeah,
and he does it a lot. Like even the dying animations are really funny. Like when he jumps back in and he like smacks the player, he'll come out of a coffin. He'll come like get dropped off by aliens. It's funny. It's a very comical, whimsical game, and it makes you laugh through the whole thing. Even even from time to time, some of the bosses that you fight, and mind you, this is like must be rated T for teen or M for mature because cuss words are getting slung around through the whole thing as well.
Definitely probably rated M for mature.
Yeah, but it's so funny and it's so like just interesting. The main boss though, as you get through the game, you end up fighting this the mascot for Fizco, and it turns out it's kind of like the building, just the whole building. You're fighting an entire skyscraper, and you as the player, you're like you yourself, you're like wondering how you can beat it, and he talks to you like, "No, man, we're supposed to be the hero. We got this." And you go take on this building.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Do you know something I don't? Like, how are we supposed to take on the whole entire building? Like, hold on.
Which
like,
is funny.
For me.
Which is funny because when you do take them on, you die. You die.
Say that again?
You blow up the building and you die. And
how
then
do you die?
You're
the hero.
The credits start to roll, and he's like, whoa, what? That's how we're gonna end this? Nah, bring this back. He basically ones up himself and comes back to life, and apparently so does the final boss. So you have to fight him again. It's it's very fourth wall breaky. It's very fun.
I feel like I would be like, wait a minute, hold on, none of this makes sense. How do I defeat the final boss, take the W, but die? I could probably understand that part, but then my character decides to come back, and then the boss is like, "Oh, if he gets to come back, I get to come back too." Like we're not gonna play those type of games here.
It's really fun though. It's really interesting from the powers that you get from like I said, the comments that get slung around. You actually fight with the crowbar from the main, like the beginning of it, and then that later turns into like a sword. You get all these different weird guns, like they're like gadget guns. Like if it was made by the codename Kids Next Door, you got like an 8-ball shotgun. You got like an actual pistol or whatever. You got like just multiple like just whimsical like devices that you fight with. And probably one of the coolest things out of the game is just how mobile you are. You can just like, as if you're in Spider-Man, you move across the city like no problem. You're bouncing across buildings. You're grinding on rails. It's like actually really engaging. It's fun.
Oh wow, definitely maybe a try. Well, if we ever grab an Xbox One, I do know somebody who's more of an Xbox fan versus a PlayStation.
Don't start with me. I got an Xbox, I got a PS4, I got a Switch, I got a PC, I got a Wii, I got a VR headset. What else do you want from me?
More.
Huh?
I don't hate
on PlayStation no more. I'm beyond that. I'm a good person now.
Ooh.
No, but you over here holding a grudge to my Xbox all of a sudden.
I'm giving you a stink eye, dog.
Why?
Didn't I just say, sorry guys, not all of us can have an Xbox One and a PS4. And you got what you got? An Xbox, a PS4, a PC, a Switch. Really?
That's years of work. I worked hard for them.
I'm not talking to you no more.
Okay. All right, guys. We're just gonna move on to the next one. So what I got next is actually Tagami Bachi, also known as Letter B.
I don't think I've heard of this.
Probably haven't. It's really, really under the radar, and I also think it's kind of underrated too. So Letter B, as what is like the English version, is a story that takes place in amber ground Atlanta perpetual night and only partially illuminated by like an artificial sun. So it's about a guy it's like a little boy who becomes like a letter B. He basically goes from town to town delivering letters with like people's hearts or emotions in them. And so between towns, he gets attacked by giant armored insects. And so that's why not everybody can kind of be a letter B. Yeah, it's a little weird. But during this whole anime, it invokes a lot of emotion. Like, this is a really cool shonen anime that, even though it has like between like a 1 to 10, it has about like a 6 of like worth of action in it. It does provoke a lot of emotion just between when people get their letters and how much emotion is evoked, or like just of the main storyline of how the main character is trying to look for his idol in it, the person who he's seen first delivered like the letter, or him himself. It's a little weird.
It looks really fluffy and like lighthearted.
It really is. I want to say it's lighthearted because of like the giant insects that they kind of got to kill, But like I said, it's really I'm trying like it's
I was
really,
gonna say like
yeah, it's a little hard to put in words.
what from what I'm looking at, and I usually just like get a quick like just skim of the images and everything. Like I said, it looks really lighthearted. I'm getting like, is that his dad that he's constantly picking him up and like carrying him?
So not necessarily. This is his idol, and his idol is somebody who delivered him when his parents got kidnapped.
Okay.
And so he sees him, he idolizes him, and is like, "Well, I want to become a letter B one day too. I want to deliver people's hearts and dreams and these letters to other people or wherever the letter's going."
Okay. And then oddly enough, it has a game. It has a PlayStation portable game.
Really?
Do you know how they would transfer that into a game?
Absolutely not. But yeah, so once again, this is one of those where I don't hear a lot of fanfare for, like really none at all. Nor do I hear like, and it's definitely not even popular. And so, for a lot of reasons, I think it's unpopular. Just for the great story, the great characters, what goes on in it, I feel like it's definitely like it's really, really underrated and overlooked.
And I was gonna say, you got a point, because like I said, I've never heard of this, and it looks interesting. If I was gonna compare it to anything, it looks like the Miyazaki film, the Fireflies one.
Miyazaki film Fireflies.
It's like Grave of the Fireflies. It takes place like in the middle of a war. This brother and his like little sister are trying to literally cross a battlefield just to get somewhere safe or something like that, and they see countless violence and just like gore and decay all over the battlefield. And like I said, they're just trying to be safe. But I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, but that's what this kind of looks like to me.
So a little bit yes and no. It isn't really all gory, but it is a little, like I said, definitely has like that action-packed piece in it.
Really?
Yeah, like I said, because in between
battling insects.
Yeah, giant armored insects. That so he himself can't not necessarily battle them. He has to have a pet, and most of letter B's have pets that kind of distract the insects, while they have like these special guns that shoot like a piece of heart into the insects and like destroys them. Like it blows them up. It's a little weird. I know I use the word weird a lot, but I'm like, this is like when I was first watching, I'm like, this anime, like I said, this was about 10 like around 2006. And so usually in between like the middle of between 2006 and 2010 is when the big three were all there. And I feel like a lot of things just didn't pop because of those three big animes.
Well, like I said, I never really seen it, but I might have to check it out.
I definitely recommend it, even to our audience.
How many seasons did it get?
Like 1 or 2. This was a short anime too. It's not like it requires like a lot of time or effort into it. It's really short.
Okay. Is it on me now?
Yeah. Go ahead and wrap it up for us.
And see, wrap it up. We got 2 more, right?
Hey, we got time for 1 more.
Like I said, because there's so many shows, so many video games that are so under the radar. Can I get 2 more? I want 2 more. I'm gonna say I get 2 more.
Go ahead with 2 more.
If I'm gonna put one of my 2, I'm gonna say Death Parade.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Death Parade?
I remember you trying to show me something.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I wish there was more.
Audience members says they've seen it. I have not.
Death Parade kind of takes place in, I guess I would call it purgatory. It's literally like an in-between place where 2 people who have died from, Earth, Japan, or whatever, they'll end up in this place, and it's kind of set like in a bar scene. They'll walk up to the bar and have like no memories of how they died or such, and they'll just walk up to the bartender, and he'll kind of question them, or not necessarily question them. He'll bring them to whatever game that they have to play. I've seen them play darts. I've seen it as a bowling.
Darts?
Yeah.
That like made the show for me right there. If you watch that, they get crazy. Like just the way they do things. It really makes you make a choice. And the choice they make isn't always the best for either one of them.
It's never really. It's just weird. What makes it bad is that these games that they play are more like determining who's going to heaven and who's going to hell. And it kind of like makes you question if this purgatory, this in-between place, whoever is running it, are they really making the right decisions on who gets to go to heaven and who gets to go to hell? Because I believe at some point it was these two lovers. They ended up dying together, but they didn't recognize each other because all their memories are gone. And they're playing a game of bowling, and the guy ends up basically falling in love again. And he kind of, I believe he made himself lose so she would go to heaven. And it's just kind of heart-wrenching through the entire season. It's only one season, only about like 12 episodes.
Wow, so both of them couldn't go to heaven? One had to go to hell?
One has to go to hell, one has to go to heaven. In this one special case, both of them went to hell.
How do both people go to hell?
Because I believe one technically won the game, but she wanted the other one to come with her to heaven. So she stayed behind in purgatory, and the guy who was, and it's always different bartenders who runs these things. The bartender at the time just said, you both go to hell. Like, he just kind of, and he was the jerk. He was like the jerk out of all the bartenders. He was the more stern one, more strict one.
Wow.
And if it's not even that, like, the bartender ends up getting like an assistant, and that's our main character. She kind of basically is just witnessing all this go on, and she doesn't have her memory. She was supposed to be the next bartender, next employee upon this purgatory, but she ends up kind of regaining her humanity through these games. She realized she starts to question everything, and she starts to think, well, maybe this isn't right. Maybe like the way that you guys are judging these people is not okay. And it just kind of goes further she starts to question more everything, question if this is the right thing that they should be doing. And then you kind of like start seeing the people who run the whole purgatory area. You see this big boss dude, and I can only imagine how much power he has, because he's up there playing pool with this girl, and the balls are all planets, are all like solar systems, and they're just acting like it's normal. And you kind of realize, like, the big boss man, he's manipulating, and he's manipulative in a certain way. He makes sure his employees do what he wants them to do. Like, he ends up reading the mind and like of this, because there's an elevator in the building or wherever they're at, and he ends up like forcefully reading the mind of the elevator attendant, and he made him forget that he read his mind. And it's like, dude, you're on some like, I don't even know what to compare it to at the moment. And it made you question through the whole thing, as if like, are they doing this right? And it just could have been so much more. There could have been so much more story going into it, but it just stopped at the one season.
Wow. And so, did the girl ever really like change anything while she was there?
She did. She ended up changing the whole mindset of, and the main bartender that you kind of follow, he's very like emotionless. It's more like, it's black and white. Either you going to hell or you going to heaven. Mm-hmm. It's really like that for him. She kind of ends up I don't want to say inadvertently, but she basically changes his whole personality within like the whole time he's existed. He pretty much went from this black and white personality to, maybe I should try to care about these people. Maybe I should try to give him a chance. And by the end of it, he ends up smiling. He never smiled before. He ends up giving his, like, the new people come into purgatory, and ends up greeting them with a smile rather than just a blank stare face. You're in purgatory.
Oh, wow. So, I'm still surprised that, and so they play games to determine whether they go to heaven or hell.
Mm-hmm.
And they play against other people.
Basically, the two people who have died go up to the bar, and you determine these two people will play the game.
Then the winner goes to heaven and the loser goes to hell. So I mean, if you're just bad at darts,
I believe it was not even necessarily the winner gets to go. I think it was sometimes it's just whoever had who had the best, like, I don't want to say personality, but who had the best intentions. It was like, is this person actually a good person, or are they're winning the game, like, but they're being a jerk about it?
They agreed to just not play by the rules, and then he decides that he wants to win because he doesn't want the bad to happen to him. And he's like, "Oh, my bad," and she like believes him, and she's like, "Okay, I believe you." And he does it again, and then she's hurt. So when she throws it, she tries to miss the purpose. She ends up throwing it, hitting him, or hitting the board, and it hurts him. And it just goes on from there. Then he's like, "Oh, you did that shit on purpose," and then it just
the dartboard was connected to their actual organs and all such. So you knew if you hit, like, say, the bullseye, which was connected to the heart, you would end up killing your opponent. Mind you, they're still human beings. They're still like, I don't want to hurt this random person. It's kind of like a jigsaw situation. You know, like the puzzles that they were set up against would kill the other person. It's kind of like that. So that's what I mean. Like this is anime was a thriller. It was a psychological drama mystery. It was so emotional to it. Like by the end, I felt bad and I wanted to cry kind of because it wrapped up so well, but it could have gone further.
Wow. All right, like that right there definitely seems like one I definitely would have to check out.
Death Parade. I honestly, Death
Parade.
That's pretty much like a recommendation of the week for me. I mean, it's not, but I got a different one for you. But geez, that Death Parade. If you haven't seen Death Parade, go watch Death Parade. It is, and mind you, the opener to Death Parade is very saucy. That's like my new thing to call an opener. If I really like it, it's saucy. It's got all the sauce. What you got for me?
Oh, your last one because you wanted to do 2 of them.
Oh, you ain't got no more? I got like 6 more, yo. Jesus, but if I'm gonna pick off one, can I pick up 2 more?
No, just 1 more. Gotta wrap it up.
Oh my god. Okay, then I'll go with Cannon Busters.
Cannon Busters?
This is a Netflix special.
Oh yeah, the Netflix special with the guy with the afro. The motorized bull for a car.
Cannon Busters is, you can watch this on Netflix if you have Netflix. It kind of takes place in, I don't want to say like a Wild Wild West, but it's kind of like a Wild Wild West with a little bit of technology. Like the dude, like KV said, it's a mechanized bull that turns into a car as well. And he basically, the main character is basically immortal.
He is immortal.
And every time he dies, he gets like a tattoo, and this tattoo reveals as a number of which number he's on that he's died in. So
basically how many times he has died. So like, yeah, even when the show first starts, you see our character kind of get a hole put in him, and like the number 22 comes up, so he's like died 22 times. And so it really starts out as, I won't even say he's the main character, because the main character is a little robot girl. I don't remember her name. And she's basically looking for this guy so she could take him where to again?
She's basically, he knows a certain place that she wants to get to. Bastion's Keep, was it? Or something like that? I might be totally wrong about that. But he knew like the way to get to this place that she wanted to go to. And I believe her name was Sam. Sam isn't a normal girl. She's actually a robot. She's actually an ancient weapon robot. But, you know, she doesn't really like use her weapon mechanized auto mechanic parts for, you know, to like fight or anything, other than only when she sees her friends in danger. And she is charged with protecting the prince of the kingdom at the time, which unfortunately he is now, you know, on the run path because his kingdom was attacked by a certain, let's call him a wizard or a warlord, or dude was bad.
Some powerful entity.
Yeah. And he basically took over the kingdom. And the prince, along with his like top security guard, had to flee the kingdom. And now they're on their way to this keep because it's supposed to be a safeguard. She unfortunately got lost in the fray, and now she's trying to meet up with the prince to go to this keep, but she doesn't know the way. So she acquires the help of Philly the Kid. Philly the Kid is our main character, and she's accompanied by not only him, but kind of a mini engineer robot girl named Casey Turnbuckle. And Casey Turnbuckle, basically, she becomes Philly the Kid's new mechanic. By every time that mechanical mechanized bull car thing breaks down, she ends up trying to fix it. At least doing her best. Mind you, that mechanical bull thing car,
yeah,
it's way bigger than a normal car.
Is it?
It's like, it looks, when they're driving it and, you know, the animation is just going by the screen, it looks like a normal car, but when they show the interior of it, it's basically like an RV in the shape of a Cadillac.
Huh. I mean, what kind of really kills me, or not kills me, but like makes me like, wow, is that for it to transform into like the little mechanical bull robot, it takes quarters.
It does take quarters, it does.
And that I was like, that's interesting. So just to get your mechanical robot to help you, you gotta feed it quarters. Where does all the quarters go?
But it's like they find enough quarters to help it keep going, but apparently finding quarters in this time period is kind of hard. It's like, you know, it's always hard to get money, but apparently finding quarters is like extra hard. So they go across the lands. He's promised that he can take them to this certain keep to go meet up with the prince. But he's kind of just winging it as it goes. And he's more like, this chick is, I believe he ends up finding out that she is a special war robot, or ancient war robot. So he kind of turned, mind you, Philly the Kid he doesn't have the best moral compass.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of sees her as a cash grab. And like, if I could turn her in, then I could, you know, I could be, that's my meal ticket right there. He kind of ends, but as the season goes on, or as the episodes go on, he kind of like starts to remember how his family died and how his family tried to protect him. Basically, the reason, and that's another thing, the reason why he is immortal, because he sold his soul to a demon to get revenge for his parents' death.
And so who killed his parents?
I believe it was the same people who took over the kingdom that the prince had to flee away from.
So, wow. And so after he gets his revenge,
I'm pretty sure he's just gonna die. They haven't really said that yet, but that's what I'm talking about. That's why this episode exists right now, because it needs more episodes. It's really engaging. Like I said, it's really fun. Philly the Kid, for a main character, is not like the most likable. He's not really that likable. He's kind of has a terrible attitude towards everybody, and it kind of sucks. But at the same time, he kind of warms up to Sam and then Casey Turnbuckle, and they actually get another person, a part of their group, named Nine, or actually his name is 7. 9? It's 7. His name is 7. His name is 9.
7? No, 9. 7.
And that's kind of a hint. 9 was a part of a group, a part of a 47 samurai group. Do you know what that reference is to?
47 Samurai Ronin.
47 Ronin. And he ends up like meeting another Ronin who tries to kill him because apparently 9 betrayed the group or something like that. But that's what I mean. I also like the hint that they gave at the 47 Ronin. I love just like the animation style of it. It's very, it's not overpoweringly colorful like Dragon Ball Z is, and it kind of just stays in its lane. And by the end of it, you see how Sam ends up transforming into this ancient robot war machine, and you see how powerful she could actually be if anybody pushed her to that limit.
That's one part that I definitely missed about this. I never really got towards the end, so I think I'll definitely at least try to peek back in and try to see what does she really turn into.
It's actually it's something that I can't really, something I can't really like put into words right now. Just because she's top tier. Like anybody who's come across her so far, other than maybe like the final villain in the season, and even then they didn't really have an answer for her. She kind of like tears through up everything. Like nobody has an answer for her.
Wow. Okay, well, brother. Okay.
Wow, man, that was because I can't do any more apparently, even though I have like a whole list. Just ready to tell you what are the underrateds. Apparently, we gotta wrap it up.
We do gotta wrap it up. And with that, there we will go into our recommendations of the week. And Solo, brother, you want to start it off, or do you want me to?
I want you to start it off.
He's still a little upset. Alright, guys, so my recommendation of the week is a manga that I have been reading. It doesn't have a lot of chapters right now, but I definitely would recommend it to anybody. It is Shikkaku Mono Saikyou Kenja. And with this,
I was gonna say, you want to give us the English translation for that?
marked from failure from birth is what I usually see, but there's kind of like a few ones.
Still don't know what this is.
It's a manga.
No, we haven't had a manga in a while.
I know. So the guy is called Sage. He was once a powerful mage roughly 12,000 years ago. He was born with the first mark, and this prevented his ability to progress any further once he learned a certain set of magic. In this life, he was considered incredibly powerful, but wanted to become even stronger, conquering the universe, so he reincarnated to achieve his goals. So this anime, in his manga, there's like 4 different marks. And with the one mark he had, his special ability was like creating items and everything, almost like being a master blacksmith, if you may say so.
Okay.
And so, but he wanted to be like a combat magic fighter.
Okay.
And so, but he wasn't born with that ability. So he was always, so even though he was top tier doing it, he was like, yo, I could be even better if I only had this mark. So let me reincarnate.
All right.
So basically, after he sets up some type of magic, he seals his soul and sends himself in like many years into the future, where he eventually reincarnates and he sees that he has the mark that he wants on his hand. He's like, cool, I only have to reincarnate one time. Then this crazy adventure starts.
I was gonna say, this starting to lose me. I'm not like lose me as an interest. Starting to lose me as in it sounds a little complicated.
So it's not. And so from here, he basically almost restarts his life. So now he has to basically rebuild his body and kind of get back to where he was in previous life. So as he is exploring the future that he has sent himself into, he's seeing that everything around him is a lot less powerful. He's seeing like the kingdom doesn't know about a lot of certain magic, that all the weapons here are trash, the items here is trash, and nobody really knows about demons, or it's like everything seemed like set back. He's like, why is everybody here so weak? And so from there he starts teaching people new forms of base magic. He meets 2 girls and starts teaching them because he needs kind of partners, because he also kind of realized, without friends I can't really do much. And so from there, like, this is where the story kind of unfolds. And so he also kind of learns that the demons have been manipulating the humans to be weaker versus stronger. And you kind of see where, like, the humans kind of maybe more or less went wrong. You see Matthias getting stronger, him training his friends, almost like a harem. It has that one little harem aspect.
I was gonna say, all his friends are all females.
Yes. It's that one little problem. That one little problem. He trains 2 girls and then he gets a dragon on his side that changes into a little girl.
What? Why?
Exactly. That changes into a girl.
You don't need that.
Like, he's already stronger than 90. So even though he has all this knowledge to do everything, his body's still not strong enough. So he needs strong people or people on his level to help him do all this stuff. So this is why he trains him and trains these 2 girls, and why he gets a dragon on his side. So the reason why I recommend is, if you're definitely into one thing like the shonen type of thing, if you want an OP character who know he's OP but is having a great time beating up people and kind of climbing back to like level 100, I would like definitely recommend this to people. Like, it definitely has a lot of comedy in it, a lot of witty humor, a lot of, okay, just because you think you're the greatest, I will show you something.
Well, that does definitely sounds interesting. What was the name of it again?
The name is Shikkaku no Saikyou Kenja.
Yes.
Mark for failure.
Remember how I had trouble reading the Japanese names?
But I wasn't stuttering.
Whatever. All right, so at least for my recommendation, I can read that if I wanted to, being as it's only in kanji, so I'm gonna give myself a pass for this one. But you know it, you love it. It's Soul Eater.
Soul Eater?
Yes, sir. So if you don't know Soul Eater, Death City is the home of a famous death weapon Meister Academy, a technical academy handed by the Shinigami, Death Lord, or Lord of Death, himself. It's a mission to raise death sights for the Shinigami to wield against many evils of their fantastical world. These death sights, however, are made from the physical weapons. Rather, they are born from human hybrids who have the ability to transform their bodies into demon weapons, and only after they have consumed the souls of 99 evil beings and one witch soul. So basically, they use people for weapons.
Basically, it in a certain way. Some people, like you said, are born human, then become weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, like they kind of use, well, like you said, they use people to fight evil as weapons.
Pretty much. Our main characters are Mako, Soul, Black Star, and his partner, Subaki. And then my favorite character, Death the Kid, and his two companions, Lily and Liz. Or no, Patty and Liz, sorry. I don't know where I got Lily from.
The twin pistols. This kid, Death the Kid, is so obsessed with symmetry. Like, he was one of the more interesting characters that I've ever seen in a while.
Everything must be asymmetrical.
Every single little thing.
That's why 8 is his favorite number, because it's perfectly, if you were to split it down the middle, it'd still get the same shape, baby.
What's crazy is even his toilet paper is asymmetrical.
It has to
Everything in his house is asymmetrical. His outfit is asymmetrical. How he holds his pistols is asymmetrical.
Except the only flaw with him, which are those 3 lines on his head.
Oh yeah, huh? Not knowing it was like a protective spell from his father for him.
And he really tried. He said he tried to dye it, and the white lines just came back. And he shoots his pistols weird too. He shoots them with his pinkies. He like holds the pistols upside down and then shoots with his pinkies. That's weird.
Yeah.
I always thought that if anything else, I always thought that was the weirdest thing about Death the Kid.
But this whole manga definitely focuses on Mako.
Yeah, Mako is our main character with her partner Soul, and basically Soul is the weapon, and Mako is the Meister. And if Meisters are basically what is the masters?
Yeah, they're the masters, and so their goal is to basically power up their weapons to become death weapons for the death god to use. And so it's really just a story about how Mako kind of is on this journey to become stronger and to eventually power up her weapon Soul. But during those times, you have ancient demons and ancient, I would say, what other type of gods maybe?
Demons, ghosts, gods.
All trying to come back, trying to stop her.
And witches.
And witches. All trying to stop her from completing her goals.
And her parents heard themselves where they were also, I believe, went to this academy. Her dad is a weapon and her mom was the Meister. Unfortunately, her mom passed away.
Oh, wow. Oh, her dad was the weapon. Yeah.
And this anime as a whole.
No. Her mom's not passed away. Her mom was on vacation, wasn't she? Always sending letters.
I thought she died.
Nah, her mom's alive. She always just sends letters from somewhere. I think so.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to go fact check myself, but it really follows Mako. Just once again, just trying to level up Soul as high as she can. And the anime itself is just it's so entertaining. Once again, I keep using the word. It's so engaging. It brings with its fight choreography to its animation to its story, and I believe it's about 51 episodes, and that's all in one season. So that's pretty entertaining. Usually you only get like you only get the 12, maybe the 25, and that's your season, but 51 episodes in one season is pretty decent to me.
Yeah, so this would definitely even be considered would be considered a long season compared to a short, which is like 49 and lower, so like 50.
Yeah, like I said, like 12 is like usually one season, and then if you're like that time I got reincarnated as a slime, you got like 25 episodes in the one season. But it's also very entertaining, like laughing wise. Like it makes you laugh throughout it, the whole anime, because whether it's got Black Star getting you to laugh, or even the legendary weapon himself, Excalibur.
Oh, that nobody could ever wield him because he's such a
fool.
Baka.
Just the whole thing. It's Baka in the sub, but fool in the English, and he is probably one of the single best characters I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he was just definitely really a character. But I think that would wrap up for everything for our recommendations, you guys. And from there, for this week's shout out, I just want to say, thank you to the big brother Jerry for once again always letting us use his place for us to record this podcast.
Thank you.
Definitely thank you. Shout out to the homeboy Roke.
Thank you. He's our back, audience, just commentating when he can.
Yes, hopefully one day actually be, on the podcast and not just in the background making a whole bunch of noise.
Okay, first off, it wasn't always me.
But yeah, definitely gotta have him on the podcast. He's definitely a wealth of knowledge too. And little brother,
I got my shout out. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you for listening to us. Actually, he heard that I had the podcast, and me and him were talking on PS4, and he's like, "No, send me the link right now." And I'm hearing through my headphones of him listening to the episode. He's like, that's my boy. I'm just like, thank you, bro.
Hey, thank you, Antonio. I really appreciate you, man.
All right, guys. Well, honestly, I felt like this list went too fast. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to give an honorable mention. Can I just do that real quick?
No honorable mention.
I don't care what he says. My honorable mentions are No Game, No Life, what's it called? Rage of Bahuma, Garo, Problem Children from Another World, Aren't They? Drifters, I said Cannabusters, Bloodlath, and Another. And for video games, Detroit.
Also, since we don't throw the rest out there.
Ha!
Dead Man Wonderland, Angel Beats, and Mushishi.
See, I went through my list a lot faster than he did.
Yeah, it don't matter.
And my list was longer.
Alright, guys. Thank you guys for joining us for another week. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys. So once again, guys, if you can, go ahead, hop on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. Once again, it doesn't matter what you say in the review. If you want to give us your honest feedback, go ahead and do that. Once again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, it's all an opinion thing. If I have my opinion, I will respect your opinion too.
Definitely. Oh, if you guys want to leave us questions, comments, and concerns, please hit us up at M.A.V. Mavericks@gmail.com. That is MAVREAKS@gmail.com.
Or hit us up at BBEMAV2020@gmail.com. That's BBEMAV2020@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Peace.